And now the staffing of the Smith County Jail facilities upon completion of phase 2, which I think now, Mr. Ward, has been moved about the 15th of August, I think, and it may move again. Yeah. And phase 4, November 1st of 2014. And just for everybody will know, I don't set the number of people that we have to have overseeing the inmates. I mean, everybody knows that. That's set by the Texas State Jail Commission. So the staffing requirements are set by them. The classification of inmates is a big concern. Usually you can only, and this is pretty much throughout the nation, you can only acquire about a 95% population in a jail due to classification and male to female inmate ratio. That's just the way it stacks up when you put everybody in the cell that they should be in. Many inmates, we're going to the direct supervision as opposed to our old indirect supervision in the new part. We're going to direct supervision, and many inmates cannot be housed in direct supervision. They're too violent. They can't be put with other inmates in other populations. And whether you have one inmate in a SEP cell across the way, the 1 to 48 ratio is out the window. If you have 1 or 2 in there, you still have to have 1 detention officer in there to oversee those inmates. So you have to put all those factors in there to realize what we're having to deal with. We have the relief required for direct inmate detention officer. That detention officer in the direct supervision cannot leave the cell without us being out of compliance in the jail. Therefore, to use the restroom, to eat, or whatever, they have to be relieved. We have the transport issues within and outside the jail. They're going to increase. The inmate infirmary must be staffed with a detention officer 24/7 as long as there is a patient in there. And I assure you, we want as many patients in there as we can get because we want to quit sending them to the hospital and the emergency room because that's why we built the infirmary, to save tax dollars. Video visitation, transportation for inmates in the old facility. In other words, in the old facility, we still have to take the inmate out of the tank and walk them to where they can do their video visitation. The cell checks, which are very important, we were out of compliance a while back, I think after we had a suicide in jail because we were a couple minutes over on our hourly required jail checks. So what I did to ensure that doesn't happen again is I knocked 15 minutes off and I'm required to do it 45 minutes. So that way it gives us a 15-minute cushion to keep us from getting out of compliance. And basically I'm going to go through these and just go down to the bottom line. This is a letter, I think Judge Baker and I got a copy of it. At my request, I went to the Major Farmer and I went to the Jail Commission in Austin, and they've been there on numerous occasions. Matter of fact, they're back in town this morning to go over the jail one more time to see if we can cut some of these positions. But he wanted to set foot in the facility to see what he's going to have to do. He'll be here today and tomorrow, and I believe a couple of commissioners are going to be able to accompany him down to the jail to oversee part of that. But the total number that they're saying of our facility, in this study they did, is specific to the minimum staffing levels of our facility. It requires 256 detention officers if the jail is at full capacity. And by no means is the jail going to be at full capacity to start with. And what I would like to see happen is to open 2 floors and leave 1 floor open or unused. Either that or pull some out of the old side and put in that top floor to try to get a little bit better ratio, but it's not going to be as much as we think it's going to be. And really what they show that we need at the end of phase 2, which is in this fiscal year, the middle of August, we need 18 additional personnel for the extra person in the picket, attorney visitation, which we have never had one. We need one on 2 shifts there. We have to have one in the infirmary or medical, and we need another book-in officer for the book-in. And I believe Lieutenant Jackson with DPS is here today. He and I have had numerous conversations where he's getting calls from his troopers, and I've checked on it, and we're doing all we can do, where troopers are having to stay there an hour and a half. And it's not just troopers, it's Tyler PD, it's our people staying there in the jail because we're so busy and we don't have the number of personnel in booking. We don't really at this point, we don't have the facility until the other one gets opened up to help that problem. So really, it's nobody's fault other than being in a outdated facility with outdated bookend. But we need 18 for that. And then what we figured to open up the 2 floors, we're going to need 58 new personnel with a relief factor of 1.63 to open up the new jail with 2 floors open up. And what I'm proposing is, if we can, right now we're getting $45 a day for federal inmates. The new U.S. Marshal and I have been in numerous conversations. He's waiting for me to be able to come talk to them to see if we're going to be able to house federal inmates, to negotiate that price, or the Commissioner's Court negotiate that price with them. But right now it's at 45, but we know we can at least get 50. That would be $1,752,000 per year gross that would bring into the county. That's a revenue. Once the salaries for the additional personnel and inmate meals, which is the only extra expenditure we'll have, we're already paying for electricity, we're paying for everything else already for that facility, we will net $1.65 million annually to go back in the general fund. To me, that's a no-brainer. This allows us to recover funding that has been expended out of county over the past several years to house our inmates. Now, the vehicles and equipment. We have 33 out of 102 Smith County Sheriff's Office vehicles that are over 100,000 miles. 5 of those 33 vehicles are over 200,000 miles. The higher mileage vehicles increase maintenance costs and pose a greater safety risk to officers and the public who rely on these vehicles for us to be able to respond to them. And I'm not going to, by no means, I'll make this available to you all where you can go back and look at it. But I've got all the vehicles listed on here. And just, I think you already know I wasn't here in 2009 when the Denali was purchased. Financial impact of the FY 2015 budget. Plug in all the numbers up here of the extra revenue that we've not ever counted before that we would have coming in from the keeping the federal inmates and everything. This is all for the budgets, environmental dispatch, sheriff's office, and jail combined. And I can't read the bottom of it. It's a net more that we have to pay for those extra 58 positions, the extra 5 positions in dispatch, and everything else is only going to cost the county $399,980. I got 2 slides left, and I promise I'll sit down unless y'all have questions. I'm going to read the last 2 slides to you. The condition of the workforce and the condition of the fleet are extremely concerning. Capital allocations in both these areas have been deferred and are minimized for several years, and has resulted in a challenging operating environment that could pose safety risks to our public servants as well as the citizens they strive to serve. To have employees in a position where losing vacation time is a norm, overtime is required, time off isn't a dependable option, pay is well below market and comp time is earned but not paid, is a recipe for a very short-term focus. A significant degradation of morale and quality of service, a much higher potential for costly mistakes, and ultimately certain failure to achieve the mission. Couple this with subpar, antiquated video devices, outdated ballistic vests, and vehicles that are critically important for safety response but can't be depended on. And with that, I'll entertain any questions that you might have.